it's kind of coming through in his behavior. Like, obviously he's a kid, he probably doesn't have a full concept of it, but I think it is kind of coming through in his behavior. Yeah, literally, he's literally coming up with absurd, like, racist, like, myths about this little 13-year-old boy, or whatever the fuck he is, who fled a war-torn country. Raised a bunch of money from United Kingdom, immediately goes to, like, fucking Cocaine Central. Going to the library without permission, and then lying that he had permission. Wow, what a heinous fucking lie. It really doesn't get much worse than this. I watched like a 40-minute or hour-long documentary today. YouTube documentary. About Tommy Robinson. It was pretty good. It's about his silenced documentary. This guy is like total filth. This guy is like legit so subhuman, it's insane. Let me just let me just play a little bit of this.
Playground scuffle. One boy poured a bottle of water on
So this is basically, he did this whole documentary called Silenced about a defamation suit he lost because he made a bunch of fucking social media posts about this incident. Basically, in 2018, at some British school, a Syrian refugee kid, like little 13-year-old boy or something, was caught on video being pushed over and a water bottle being dumped on his face, basically. And it became a massive national incident. Everyone was talking about it in the UK. It went all over Facebook, was going everywhere. We'll see the video in a second. It was everywhere in the UK. Everyone was talking about how fucking crazy it was. There's people saying it was a racist attack and all this sort of stuff. There wasn't like 100% evidence it was racist, but you'll see it. And Tommy Robinson basically decided that he was gonna, take up the cause, try and fight back against the mainstream media narrative about this, and start publishing a bunch of shit about how actually the Syrian refugee kid, this little 13-year-old boy, was actually a total piece of shit. He actually just goes around beating up white girls all the time. He just goes around beating up white girls and, being a horrendous, disgusting little shit. And, yeah, and then he got sued for it. So I'll show you a couple bits of this documentary. We'll go over this just briefly. I don't want to go over the whole thing, but I thought some parts of it were pretty interesting and pretty fucking crazy.
another child. The school dealt with it, and that should have been that. 3 weeks later, however, a video clip of the incident surfaced, and within hours, with the help of lawyers and the ignorant rantings of ITV's Piers Morgan and the BBC's Jeremy Vine, it was made into a global news event. And the lives of so many people were turned upside down.
Tommy's right that this story does start with a playground incident at Almondbury Community School, when one kid, Bailey, tackled the other kid, Jamal, to the ground, pinned him to the ground with one hand and poured water over his head with the other. My alarm bells for this documentary also start with the footage of this incident, or how Tommy presents it. Tommy shows the video of the incident, which went viral in 2018, twice in this documentary. The first instance, the clip you just saw, when Tommy introduced it at the start of the documentary, drowned out by background music and Tommy's narration. He plays the video once more.
Yeah, it's just crazy as well, because this is a 2018 Syrian refugee, right? So this ain't like, you know, current asylum seeker that's here and waiting for their application to be processed and already been refused in Europe. This is fleeing the Syrian civil war.
Have a listen to when in the video mutes and Tommy's narration takes over.
Instant. Listen to the clip again. Listen to what Bailey's saying. He's asking Jamal repeatedly, what are you saying now? It wasn't a random attack. It wasn't a racist attack. Bailey.
Listen closely to the rest of this infamous clip from the exact moment where Tommy muted it and started narrating over the top of it.
Yeah, so calling him a little bastard. Now, that's not explicitly racial. But anyone in the UK, or anyone that's heard people from the UK talk, knows there is a kind of like a racial tone to saying that. There is a little racial tone saying, you little bastard. Like, people say, like, P-word bastard. Like, there's... Like, you can imagine someone saying, you little P-word bastard, like, something like that. That is kind of... There's a little tone to that.
Immediately, even before we get into the statements that the court
it's almost like saying, like,
defamatory.
it's almost like boy, you know? I feel like it's almost like calling a black person boy in America. That's sort of like how that comes off, you know?
We can see Tommy using this documentary to blatantly mislead his audience. Never in this documentary does Tommy tell his audience that Bailey repeatedly called Jamal a little bastard and threatened to drown him. But he had a lot to say about Jamal. Once this video went viral on social media, it became a big news story. And in Silenced, Tommy is extremely critical of how the mainstream media covered it.
The story you were told. You were told that a vulnerable Syrian child refugee had been bullied and waterboarded by a nasty white boy. You were told it was a racist attack. You were told of the dangers of far-right extremism. You were invited to agree that this kind of intolerance could not be tolerated. Was he vulnerable? Was it a racist attack? Our evidence shows the answers to both these questions was no. Was the Syrian lad waterboarded? Why was this word used?
From what I see, there's a conversation to be had.
Yeah, there's just like, it's the, you little bastard, it's the, I'll drown you, it's the, like, I just, it's such an odd thing to do, like, to start pretend waterboarding someone. The whole thing just has such a connotation of being racially motivated, it really does.
Here. The judge in the libel case...
It's like this kid has absorbed, like, you know, the idea of waterboarding, the idea of Syrian refugees drowning, calling people P-word bastards, sort of thing. That it's like, it's kind of coming through in his behavior. Like, obviously he's a kid, he probably doesn't have a full concept of it, but I think it is kind of coming through in his behavior. And
said that based on the evidence available, he could not conclude that the attack was racial. And I myself aren't willing to say for certain
he goes
that it
into
was
it a little bit
racially
here.
motivated or that Bailey is a racist. But at the time, it was widely reported that this was a racial attack. Now, if this discussion and these criticisms of the media from Tommy were all we heard from him in Silenced, he would not be sitting in a prison cell as we speak. He had a lot to say.
so yeah, this is what he ended up getting held in contempt of court for, because he kept repeating the claims about this after an injunction was issued.
I made a video stating that it was a lie, stating that Jamal wasn't innocent, and telling some facts about Jamal beating up girls, an instance I'd been warned about by the members of this community to tell the truth about what happened at this school. But there are testimonies from several children who alleged they were being bullied by him. Younger children, little girls, mostly girls. Is Jamal the innocent victim you've been told? He's suing me for defamation for what I've said about him, and I'm finding out after teacher after teacher after teacher, he's far worse than what I said. Far worse.
But
like
dude.
far worse. Not least, it was a response to Jamal's alleged threats to rape Bailey's younger sisters. They were about 9 years old at the time of this. And he was far worse than anything I said. Far worse.
Dude.
It's important to note that Tommy lost the initial lawsuit, not because of this documentary Silenced, which came years later. He initially posted two
Orange
videos on
Garnet,
Facebook
trust me, it gets so insane.
about the incident. These videos, along with Tommy's Facebook account, are long gone. But there are some
So he posts these videos, where's, So, okay, yeah, wait, we'll just watch
That
this
he was
bit. We'll
racially
watch through
motivated.
this bit. Fuck it. I was going to skip to the bit where he talks about the kid's mum. In fact, I might just tell you a bit about the kid's mum. Thank you for the raid Sunday. So basically, this kid's mum, the kid who did the waterboarding, his mum had been convicted for a public order offence because she was in, I think it was like a fish and chip shop. I think I'm not 100% on this, we might have to skip to where it is in the video, but she like spat on the person working there and called him racial slurs or something. So it comes off a little bit like this kid was around a lot of racism. And he probably was influenced a little bit.
On this. And he was far worse than anything I said. Far worse.
She was definitely, yeah, I'm not 100% confident in the incident. She was absolutely convicted. She definitely called the guy racial slurs. I can't remember whether she spat on him or not.
It's important to note that Tommy lost the initial lawsuit, not because of this documentary Silenced, which came years later. He initially posted 2 videos on Facebook about the incident. These videos, along with Tommy's Facebook account, are long gone. But there are some transcripts in the judgment, which show that these videos included much of the same material, with at times some much stronger language from Tommy than we see in Silenced. Here's some examples. Tommy said he had it as absolute fact that Jamal was involved with some Muslim girls in beating up a young girl, kicking...
So, look, this is a claim. I have it as absolute fact. I've seen images of young girls that he was involved in beating up. This is Jamal, the innocent refugee you people or people out there have raised £100,000 for. A young girl was beaten badly by Muslim girls. While those Muslim girls were beating her up, Jamal was involved in kicking and biting her. She was bitten. She was black and blue.
Fighting and beating her black and blue. Tommy stated as fact that we now know that Jamal...
Yeah, literally, he's literally coming up with absurd, like, racist, like, myths about this little 13-year-old boy or whatever the fuck he is, who fled a war-torn country. Unironic, actual refugee child.
Beat up English girls in his school. We can see in the transcripts that in the initial Facebook videos, he continuously goes on, stating as fact that Jamal has beaten up girls. This gives you just a snippet of the kind of comments that Tommy was making at the time, which resulted in him losing the libel lawsuit. What we do get in Silenced is a look at the type of evidence that Tommy tried to bring to his defense in court. He references a series of incidents that he uses to justify his position that he could confidently tell his supporters that Jamal has a history of violence. The first is what we will call the hockey stick incident. This young girl claims that Jamal hit her in the back with a hockey stick during PE class, causing her injuries lasting to this day. This girl actually testified in the trial and was one of Tommy's star witnesses. This is how she describes the alleged incident in the documentary.
Yeah, basically, we were in a PE lesson and we were playing hockey with a teacher called Mr. Cattell, and I had taken the hockey puck off of Jamal because I was on the other team and sent it to the other side of the room where my teammates were, and I then turned around and just felt a really sharp pain in my back, and he'd swung the hockey stick over his head and hit me in the spine with it.
Do you think there's any way that could have been an accident?
No.
Dude, you guys are like retarded. Everyone is calling it pretend waterboarding. It is pretend waterboarding. He didn't actually waterboard him. He's not held down on a fucking plank and being dunked in fucking water with a rag over his fucking face. Everyone knows that. The kid held him down and poured water over his face while holding his face in position to try and simulate drowning as close as he could. That was the point. That's clearly what is happening there. It's not a girl pouring a drink on you at the bar because you tried to fucking rape her because you're like some weird fucking sex pest. Okay? It's not that. Whatever example you're giving right now, that's not what's happening. It's some kid being held down, his face being held in place, while water is poured on him because the other kid is trying to simulate drowning him.
It knocked me to my knees.
It knocked you to your knees? How long had Jamal been at school when this happened?
About 2 weeks. I've had lasting injuries from it. It's caused me to have severe pain in the top of my back.
Rudy, do you have a mental disability? Do you have a mental disability? Are you retarded? We're watching the video. Do you think you're going to get an answer? Did this actually happen? Did the kid actually beat up another kid? Maybe this little brown kid deserved to get bullied. Maybe he deserved it. Chill for a minute. You're going to get an answer to what happened in this story if you just wait one moment.
And
there was a lawsuit that we're watching a video about.
Yeah.
Did Jamal get in trouble for this?
Not that I'm aware of.
This story of a violent assault surely could have helped Tommy prove in court that it was reasonable for him to tell his audience that Jamal had a history of attacking girls in school. Well, when it came time to look closely at this in court, the details that we learned about this alleged incident are pretty shocking. The girl said that this attack happened while the teacher was in the storeroom, and that there were 20 to 30 other children that were in the class present at the time. Yet, according to Charlie's story, out of all these kids, not one saw the incident, or came to help her after this vicious attack took place that left her with lasting injuries. She said in court that she reported the incident to the teacher who was in charge of the PE lesson, yet the school records show nothing to suggest this. If this happened, then the teacher did nothing about it, didn't discipline Jamal,
okay, I've explained
investigate
it
the
to you 3
incident,
times.
or
That's
even
24
report
hours.
this serious injury, or even report it to the girl's mother at the time. As an example of what records would be available of such an injury in school,
Okay,
the
Rudy,
court
you can
saw
go
records
to.
of an incident in
Too retarded.
2016
Sorry.
where Charlie was struck
Sorry
in the
to be
nose
like
with a
this.
cricket ball during PE class.
Feel free to stick around in silence and see the answer to your question, though.
The girl suffered a nosebleed from this injury. The school filled out an incident report, which was sent home to her parents. It was documented in a diary for the students, which was kept at the school, which showed that the girl's mother was informed and determined that she would come home for the rest of the day. None of this happened for the vicious hockey stick attack. This really suggests...
So, did you guys catch that? So they showed comparables, the school presented comparable school records for other violent incidents and other even just injuries. But there was no record of the attack that this girl claimed.
Investigate the incident, or even report this serious injury, or even report it to the girl's mother at the time. As an example of what records would be available of such an injury in school, the court saw records of an incident in 2016 where Charlie was struck in the nose with a cricket ball during PE class.
So same girl, she got hit in the face with a cricket ball a couple years before. And there was a record of that, but no record of when she was assaulted with a hockey
The girl
stick.
suffered a nosebleed from this injury. The school
To the
filled out
point
an
where
incident
she apparently was on medication.
report, which was sent home to her parents. It was documented in a diary for the students, which was kept at the school, which showed that the girl's mother was informed and determined that she would come home for the rest of the day. None of this happened for the vicious hockey stick attack. This really suggests that the teacher who was in charge of the kids for this day was completely useless. But Tommy's team never called him in to say what happened. Here, Charlie mentioned the back pain that she suffers to this day, which she says she is still on medication for.
I've had lasting injuries from it. It's caused me to have severe pain in the top of my back, and I'm on medication for the pain.
Still now?
Yeah.
Yet, the records of Charlie's GP shows no such records.
Oh.
No records of the medications that she says she was prescribed. The only letter that they could provide from her GP was saying that she has no medical issues. Charlie said...
So, claims to have been on medication because of this assault. No record. Zero record. No record from the doctors.
That she had undergone X-rays and MRI scans after this injury. There would clearly be a record of this happening, but no such record exists. She claims that the hockey stick incident was a major factor for her anxiety at school. Yet, her medical records show that her anxiety issues well predate the hockey stick incident, and she never once mentioned it to her emotional health worker or the school nurse. Another boy who appeared in Tommy's documentary and was in this class also testified as a witness in court. He said in court that no other students saw this incident because all 30 of them were looking in the opposite direction at the time.
This is what Tommy Robinson's bringing to court. That's what Tommy Robinson's bringing to court. Is some kid saying, the Muslim kid hit her, but everyone was looking the other way, so no one saw it. I didn't saw it.
And was in this class, also testified as a witness in court. He said in court that no other students saw this incident because all 30 of them were looking in the opposite direction at the time. His story of what took place that day didn't even match up with Charlie's. There are no records of Charlie's mother reporting this serious assault to her daughter, to the police, or even the school. The judge determined that he was confident that this incident never happened. It was up to Tommy, after broadcasting this to millions of people, to show the court that it was reasonable for him to believe this happened. With this, he failed miserably. But what about the incident that started all of this and resulted in the initial lawsuit, what we will call the biting incident?
A key part of this case is that I reported what I was told. Before my involvement in this story, a mother went online and said her daughter had been attacked by Jamal. I contacted that mother. She sent me images of her daughter. She said her little daughter was beaten by 3 Muslim girls and that Jamal jumped in and bit her daughter on the head. She sent me the images of the bite marks on her daughter's head. I said, can I speak to you? Can I interview you? I rang the mother, but the child was too scared to talk to me. She's scared? No, everyone's scared.
This is the incident I mentioned earlier that Tommy covered in the initial 2 Facebook videos. Remember that he said he had this as absolute fact, that Jamal, with a gang of Muslim kids, viciously beat a young girl, biting her and beating her black and blue. Surely, for Tommy to make
don't jump on this mother too quick, okay?
Strong statements to the million Facebook followers that he had at the time, he must have had strong enough evidence to back this up in court if he needed. Well, for a start, Tommy couldn't bring a single witness to back up this story in court. Not the mother, or the girl that Jamal supposedly attacked and bit. All he could bring were these text messages that he exchanged with the mother, and these recordings that he made of his conversations with her.
We revisited the mother's house to try and get confirmation as to why she backtracked on the story she had put out and the story she had told me.
I don't care if you're driving, Tommy Robinson's there.
Don't worry, don't worry.
He said don't worry.
Yeah. So when you put online about Jamal, what was the response to that?
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, wait. I did see that. Wait. Sorry, Tommy Robinson, has been deported from 2 different countries in the space of 24 hours. So violent criminal, Tommy Robinson, violent criminal, extremist. You know, fucking religious extremist, Jewish extremist, Tommy Robinson. Violent criminal, Jewish extremist. Tommy Robinson has been deported from 2 different countries in the space of 24 hours.
So, let me tell you what my days consisted of. I needed a break, right? Just needed to have a break from everything. So,
guys, he gets done fundraising a bunch from United the Kingdom. What's his first thought? I'm taking a holiday. I'm taking a holiday. Yeah? How's that? Can I get some receipts on that money's being spent, Tommy?
but where can I have a break? I know, South America. Why South America? Because no one really know me. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so low chance of any grief. So I looked, I found this place. You fly to Bogota, you go to these little islands. So if I go to those islands, have a real relaxing time. Just a total chill time.
Literally went
Landed
to go and fucking do coke in Colombia.
at Bogota, and what do you think happened? Detained.
Raised a
Threat to
bunch of
national-
money from United the Kingdom, immediately goes to, like, fucking Cocaine Central.
Security deported. Spent all day in a detention room, a detention centre. At which point I said, I'm waiting for a deportation back to the UK. So I said, can I not just book a flight somewhere else? And they said, yeah. So I booked a flight to Panama. Landed in Panama. What do you think happened?
Detained and deported. Get fucked.
Detained. Being deported. Sat here now 6 hours.
God bless.
I spent the last 24 hours of my time on a plane and sat in rooms. Threat to national security. So Colombia, the country that exports what? Beautiful women and narcos.
Yeah, feel a bit shit, does it, Tommy?
That's it.
Not a fan of this.
Deems me because of my political beliefs. There's no other reason.
Yeah, you're a Jewish
It's my political
extremist.
beliefs. Now, some of you may remember this happened in
Dude,
Mexico.
they don't want Jewish extremists coming into their country. What's the problem with that?
2
Violent
years
Jewish
ago when I landed with
extremists.
my children. But Mexico, I got the recordings of their agents telling me that the British had told them not to let me in. And I needed this little break again, man. But here I am, sat currently in Panama's detention room, awaiting. 6 hours I got till I'm on a deportation flight.
Anyway,
Did you
yeah,
receive,
back to this.
Did you receive? Jamal's solicitors are using a statement that you made saying that
Tommy's aspirationally Jewish.
Jamal had nothing to do with it. But was that? I'm asking, was that in response to the threats you received?
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
This woman didn't even know that she was being recorded. Tommy never got her consent to broadcast this to his audience. This immediately makes this evidence garbage.
So
It is
yeah,
hearsay-
basically all of the shit that he uses about this case with the biting from his mom, he uses without her consent.
and has no strength in court.
And she refuses to back any of it up.
We'll talk about this a bit more later. Not only this, after the initial Facebook post the mother made that initially blew up, she had deleted this post, and after Tommy's first Facebook video, posted the following. It wasn't him, it was the 3 girls. He didn't do anything.
So, and then she initially posted it on Facebook, and then takes it down, and says Jamal was not involved.
This should have not been posted until the full story was told. Delete it now, I don't want my girl's face on anything. Despite this, and the fact that Tommy couldn't provide any hard evidence.
Thank
I've
you.
seen you for a while, Kuihman. Why are you so mad at questions?
I don't know which retard that is, but you got banned because you're asking dumb questions.
He broadcasted this story again years later in silence, and continues to repeat it to this very day. This is a clear and obvious example of defamation, and the judge, of course, ruled in the lawsuit that Tommy failed to prove that this attack ever happened. So far, when we closely look at the claims that Tommy has made against young Jamal, they are a long way from stacking up. There were a few other stories that Tommy featured in Silenced that he tried using in court to justify his narrative about how violent Jamal was.
Because I was like, he was like to the side of me, so he like tried like pushing me, and like, so I quickly moved out there, because obviously I knew what he was like, he would have actually hit me and stuff. So I moved, and he like moved his arms if he was going to try to slap my face like back.
Okay. And but he did.
So I don't think we need any of this. It's all kind of like, you know, you get most of the idea about this stuff. What else is like particularly bad here? Oh yeah. So 1 minute, I'll show this bit as well.
You see, Jamal doesn't like to break the school rules. Here's the problem. This is his behaviour record. Almost 100 codes for bad behaviour. Truancy, verbal abuse to teachers, physical violence towards pupils, and lying. Yeah, there's plenty.
Wow, sounds like a terrible kid.
Firstly, Tommy shows 2 papers of someone's behaviour records. I say someone's because they are cropped so you can't see any name or other details, and the behaviour record of Jamal from school that was shown in court is overwhelmingly positive. A major part of why Tommy says he has been unfairly prosecuted is the narrative that Jamal is a pathological liar whose word can't be trusted in court. Tommy has constantly repeated this to this day.
This chap, Jamal, brought no witnesses. His school record is littered with lie, 117 disciplinaries. The judge ruled that the only person telling the truth in the whole case, 7 teachers that were covertly recorded were lying.
Well, to debunk this one, we only have to look at the form that Tommy himself showed on screen. Let's zoom in and look at Jamal's shocking history of lying that Tommy constantly speaks of. In September 2018, Jamal went to the library for English class and lied that a teacher gave him permission. In June of that year, he was messing about in a corridor, went to the library and lied that he got permission. And the third and final...
Going to the library without permission and then lying that he had permission. Wow. Wow, what a heinous fucking lie. It really doesn't get much worse than this. Damn, we gotta keep these kids out of our fucking country.
Section that was highlighted on the form as Tommy told us that Jamal is a pathological liar showed that Jamal was throwing pens in class and hit a couple of kids. That is literally it. This is the record of lying that Tommy believes disqualifies Jamal as a credible witness in court. Based on Tommy's standards, how many of us would also be disqualified as witnesses going by our history in high school? Tommy clearly never thought that someone would ever actually zoom in on the form he showed on the screen in his own documentary. Another major bombshell that Tommy revealed in silence was that everyone working at the school had to sign NDAs and were paid off to stop them telling the truth.
How much money is it?
I can't see the figure because if I see the figure, it goes out.
Just mate. 18. I've just found out. Well, the head teacher's told us already that he was blackmailed and threatened. I've just found out of Kuihman. He was paid £18,000. Paid, he said, I can't say, shh. I signed, I was paid. So paid what? He was paid money by the local council, so he can't tell the truth about what's gone on in that school. They've given everyone non-disclosure agreements.
We put in a freedom of information request to Kirklees Council to find out exactly how much they had spent of taxpayers' money to get the silence of their staff. They'd spent over £250,000. Nearly £275,000 of taxpayers' money was spent making people remain silent.
Well, they've spent money silencing everybody, so no one can ever...
This sounds awful.
No one can ever tell the truth. I believe it. I knew from day dot, I asked myself the question, when this was blowing up and I knew the truth, I kept saying, how come no teacher's telling the truth? If all those teachers know what's gone on in that school, how come none of them are coming out and saying, well, now we know. Now the whole world's going to know. Because Kirklees Council paid them not to.
Whoever buys this is retarded. You're a total mark if you trust a guy with 2 names. That's just facts. Okay, I know it's been said, but you trust a guy with 2 names, you're a mark.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Firstly, the idea of the school staff having to sign NDAs saying that they wouldn't publicly discuss this incident is hardly shocking or noteworthy. This was national news and they were getting contacted by Jamal's lawyer, so it would have been standard practice to get employees to do this. As for the council, paying off the school staff to stop them telling the truth, once again, you only have to look at what Tommy himself showed on the screen in silence to debunk this and expose him for misleading his audience. Here is the spreadsheet that Tommy himself showed when he made the claim that the council paid nearly £275,000 of hush money to the staff at the school to keep them from telling the truth about the incident. Let's zoom in again, shall we? The column that Tommy highlighted said total number of ex gratia and other payments.
How is this guy taken seriously? Is it just people desperate for a purpose?
No, it's confirmation bias. Is people are racist, they have a underlying racism, and they look for things that confirms it. Tommy Robinson gives them something that can confirm it. So they just latch onto that because they want to be racist.
We know that the school closed during this time. There would have been payouts made. Tommy does not provide any proof that these £275,000 worth of payouts was entirely hush money related to this incident. If you listen carefully to our mate, the ex-teacher, he doesn't even say that they collected pounds of hush money to the staff at the school to keep them from telling the truth about the incident. Let's zoom in again, shall we? The column that Tommy highlighted said total number of ex gratia and other payments. We know that the school closed during this time. there would have been payouts made. Tommy does not provide any proof that these £275,000 worth of payouts.
Dude, why is literally every jacket this guy owns is Stone Island?
We know that the school closed during this time. There would have been payouts made.
I've seen him with like 3 different jackets in this video, and all of them have been Stone Island.
Tommy does not provide any proof that these £275,000 worth of payouts was entirely hush money related to this incident. If you listen carefully to our mate, the ex-teacher, he doesn't even say that this was hush money about the incident.
How much money is it?
I can't see the figure because if I see the figure, it goes out.
Just mate. 18.
But this is how Tommy spins it. I can give you more examples of Tommy treating his audience with absolute disrespect, blatantly misleading and lying to them.
Councillor Shabir Pandor, leader of the council. Just one statement from him, reported in June 2019, telling the National Working Group of Child Sexual Exploitation Response Unit that his authority had moved forward. That's it. They've moved on.
Like, dude, how, like, he characterizes this. Just look at the headline. Apparently, this is an article saying they've moved on from the grooming scandal. Don't give a fuck anymore. That's what Tommy's saying. It says, "We've moved forward from grooming scandal," says council leader. Leaders of Labour, Conservatives and the independent group have responded to a report from Dr. Mark Peel. Now, immediately from this, do we think they're saying, yeah, we've moved on, we just don't care? Or do we think they're saying, we've made improvements? We've made improvements based on the report.
Reported in June 2019, telling the National Working Group of Child Sexual Exploitation Response Unit that his authority had moved forward. That's it. They've moved on.
This is Tommy referencing an article where a council leader commented on a grooming gang scandal, with Tommy representing it as the man simply saying they've moved on. Well, here is the article that Tommy showed on screen. Not a great title, I'll give you that. But if you actually look at the article, you'll see that the council leader said, Kirklees Council does not shy away from dealing with difficult issues, and those highlighted within the Dr. Peel report shows it is only right that we apologise as an organisation for the failings identified in relation to the 2 victims. The findings of the report show that at the time, our systems, whilst robust in the majority of cases, still had failings. However, the report from the NWG shows how far we have come in addressing these concerns.
Yeah, I think we'll just watch like the next 6 minutes of this, because there is a really fun... Dude. There's a little bit of... If you fucking hate Tommy Robinson for the way he lied about this kid... There is a little bit of catharsis
intelligence
in
and information across partnerships to help protect those
terrible,
in our
but kind
society.
of funny.
This does not mean we think we have solved the issue. Far from it. There will always be those who prey on the vulnerable, and we and our partners must learn to adapt and evolve in making our systems as robust as possible to identify and help those most at risk. I want to personally thank the victims in their bravery for being part of these reports, in showing the courage needed to talk about and identify those responsible. As Dr. Peel says, they are the heroes of this situation. Now we must look at the recommendations in these reports and ensure they are acted upon. It is also vital that we and our communities remain vigilant in bringing to our or our partners' attention any signs of similar issues so they can be dealt with swiftly. There was another paragraph of quotes from a different council member, literally in this same article. And according to Tommy, all that was said was,
his authority had moved forward. That's it. They've moved on.
This shows that during Tommy's documentary Silenced, not only did he repeat the same serious defamatory comments against Jamal, but he can't help himself from telling small unnecessary lies constantly to his audience.
But I would portray Paul Bailey was disgusting. It really was.
Because that's what I spoke to most people, said no, Bailey wasn't the bully.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't racist.
His mum had a bit of a gob, don't get me wrong, because he was her up here.
Yeah.
Bailey wasn't like that. But he had 2 half-caste sisters, so how could he have been bad, you know? But Bailey wasn't racist in that, far from it. Yeah. He wasn't a bully, he was the lad.
Oh, no.
See him, and then Mary would always say, oh yeah, no, she was right, you know. But even doing...
Because he got portrayed, the way we portrayed it was that Bailey was a horrible racist kid, and that Jamal was an innocent refugee.
He wasn't. Not far from it.
Tommy happily showed this hidden camera, pixel-faced lady talking about how Bailey couldn't have been a racist because he had 2 half-caste daughters. My question is, why was he happy to share this with his audience, but not to mention that Bailey's mother is literally a convicted racist.
Oh yeah,
the mother was prosecuted some years back after spitting on a fish and chip owner and calling him a slur for Pakistanis and a terrorist. For my non-UK based viewers, this word is an equivalent of the N-word in the UK. This is pretty strong evidence that Bailey's mother is a racist. Do I think this guarantees that Bailey is a racist and the attack was racially motivated? Not necessarily. But why did Tommy not once in his hour 45-minute documentary share this relevant information with his audience? Now, there's one part of the documentary where I feel like Tommy had a point. The lawyers who were initially representing Jamal got this Antifa member to serve Tommy with the papers, and the guy seems like a genuine nutcase.
And who is this Antifa extremist hired to come...
Okay. So Jamal's law firm hire an Antifa guy to go to Tommy's house and serve him.
to my kid's home? Keep watching.
Okay, folks, we're here in Salso. I'm about Sydney and Murphy are about to pop off.
So they literally just dox his fucking address. They just like walk up, show a video of him walking past the street signs and shit.
I went up to where number and they said, right, we'll take that from him, we'll make sure he gets it.
And later that night, the
Like, this is bad, but after how Tommy has fucking treated this kid, I cannot begrudge the family for wanting to fucking back. It's, you know, it's bad, you shouldn't, but I understand it.
extremists hired by their lawyers had a message for me and my children.
And on that note, see, on that happy note, oh, by the way, Tommy, I am gonna mince your kids, mate.
Dude.
Tommy showed pretty clear evidence that this guy was in fact arranged by Jamal's lawyers to drop off the papers and doxed his family home in the process. While saying that he was going to mince Tommy's kids, Tommy also showed a bunch of old, insanely racist and anti-Semitic tweets from this guy that should have automatically been disqualifying for the lawyers to consider him getting involved. This part of the story was so mental that I thought I had to bring it up as a matter of balance. I'm not sure what the law firm were thinking, but this only gave Tommy ammunition. During the documentary, Tommy made his way to a hotel where he says that Bailey and his family were put in when they started receiving a ton of death threats.
Rather than deal with a threat, they moved Bailey and his family to a place of safety. The other child in this incident, his family...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've seen enough of this now. You get the point. I think the video? Yeah. The guy who made this video is getting sued by Andrew Tate at the minute as well. He's got like a legal fundraiser. So Tommy Robinson lost a defamation case, obviously, and then he kept repeating the claims even after they put an injunction in place, so that's why he ended up going to prison. Weird coincidence, I was at Andrew Tate's house earlier. That's a reference to the tweet that said, "Someone is outside my house with a gun," that Andrew Tate posted earlier.